I want it to be commonplace that we are taught the very real, raw history of our country.
Knowing that history really just gave me some perspective on like why I didn't see many people that look like me, but also how could I change the narrative.
Transmitting from the future. You are tuned into FM broadcast, celebrating Black futures in sport and culture. Today, we are broadcasting from St. Elmo's Village, an arts community deeply connected to Black liberation movements from the 1960s to present day. We are joined by 3 U.S. Olympians, John Carlos, Ibtihaj Muhammad, and Simone Manuel.
What does it take to be an activist? Sacrifice, competence, courage. This is about the revelation to get to the revolution we're all calling for.
What a remarkable thing to be here with all of you. Titans of the sport. Dr. John Carlos, who, tell me, Johnny, what is the responsibility of the athlete? Do they have a responsibility to speak out?
I believe they have a tremendous responsibility to speak out. They have been blessed to have the ability to be this superstar, as you might say. But yet and still, as they being a superstar, the responsibility lies in the fact that they left a lot of young individuals behind that they grew up with. They left their classmates behind. They have a responsibility based on what's been happening in society. So many young blacks and browns have been killed throughout their careers.
Right.
It's a tremendous responsibility that you should look in the mirror and realize that you can make a difference for the better. You can make change come about through your articulation.
You just hit on something that I want to laud to you, Simone. You're in what would be considered a very individual sport. Why is it so clear to you that you have to speak out when really you've been conditioned to say, this is about me and my success?
Mm-hmm. One time I came home from practice one day, I was so frustrated with just feeling like I didn't belong.
Yeah.
And I asked my parents, I was like, why aren't there many people that look like me in the sport of swimming? And my parents didn't necessarily know. They couldn't really give me a clear answer. So we got on the computer and we researched. And we found out the terrible history of Black people, being transported here and, living on plantations and being around water and just the brutality that we faced around bodies of water.
Yeah.
And that's generational. That's why we don't enjoy the water. And so knowing that history really just gave me some perspective on like why I didn't see many people that look like me, but also how could I change the narrative? The Black population in swimming is 1%. So it's very low, and hopefully me speaking on it makes it easier for the people that come behind me.
I was just listening to you guys, and I was thinking about when I was a kid and my first involvement in athletics.
Yeah.
It came through the water. That was my first love, the water. Swim wherever I can in the local pool,
Yeah.
Harlem River, Hudson River, wherever there was water, I'm swimming. About a year and a half go by, I say, Papa, has America ever had a Black swimmer? He said, no. Daddy, I'm gonna be the first Black swimmer to represent America. He said, okay. When your parent has something to tell you and it's hurting them, you can see the expression in their face. He said, son, we need to talk. He said to me, he said, Johnny, he said, I know you want to go to the Olympics as a swimmer. It's never going to happen. And I said to him, what are you talking about, Daddy? I'm the best. I'm the best in New York. He said, it's not going to happen. He said, what would you train? And I'm saying, well, I'll join a club.
Yeah.
And my father said, oh, and we can't join a club. I said, we can't afford it. He said, no, son, we can afford it. I said, well, why can't I join? And I said to him, I said, Daddy, you telling me that I can't represent America as an Olympic swimmer because of the color of my skin? He said, son, are you going to quit? And my answer to him was, no, Daddy, I'll find another way.
There's this idea that athletes have to suffer. And in fact, you can also see some of the same tensions around activism. It's like there's the idea that, well, you can only be an activist if you're like actively suffering. Is suffering like a necessary part
of strength.
When I think back, right, on all those difficult moments, competing, training, the injuries, the heartache, the pushback, all those moments that people don't see. People see you on the podium, and that's what they attribute, right? That's what they think, like, there's no sacrifice, I just see success.
Yeah.
When I think back on those difficult moments, I know that it doesn't even come close to the sacrifice of the people who have come before me, of the people I look up to, like Dr. John Carlos. For me, I've always looked at my journey as being bigger than me because I know what I represent. I represent Black people, I represent Muslims, and for me, the Olympic Games was a moment to dispel those stereotypes, to show people the strength that I know that we have, but also to give that strength.
I think that's the most important thing, is to be a light for others, to give them hope, to give them the ambition to say, I have to be consistent, I have to stay in the fight, I have to stay to see change for the better.
Simone, what do you need to see to say, okay, change is happening?
I've been lucky enough to see that change in my sport. After qualifying for the Olympics in 2016, there was something called the Simone effect. There may have been around 20,000 searches for swim team. I've been, at events and I've had little Black boys and little Black girls tell me they saw me race in 2016 and that they asked their parents to put them in swim lessons. So hearing people say that, that's just a small fraction of hopefully the people that I've touched.
I feel like my nieces and nephews now are obsessed with water. They're all in swim lessons. And I think even subconsciously, right, their parents, them, like you've had an effect on how we view ourselves in the pool. So thank you for, you're pushing us forward. Yeah.
Yeah. Ibtihaj, you've changed, and you've changed the world. You have Muslims, Black people all over. What is something that you long to see?
I traveled to Rwanda as like a sport ambassador. And when you arrive in Rwanda, the first thing that you do is you visit the Memorial Museum.
Right.
And they walk you through the history of the country and how they arrived at a point where the Rwandan genocide can happen. And the intention behind this is so that you make sure that this never happens again.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've always thought, and I think was highlighted on this trip, was that I want that for our country. I just feel like that's something that we can gift ourselves, is understanding our history, and that's something that I want for us. I want it to be commonplace that we are taught the very real, raw history of our country.
That's right.
And when all the dust settles, you have to ask yourself, I love America. I represent America. But does America love me?
Yeah.
Has it represented me? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
And this is what we're fighting for. As I stated earlier in this interview, it's about respect, honor, and love.
Ciao a tutti, it's nice to see you again. The 2022 season is going to be very exciting and important in the history of Formula One. And to know more about what's new, I'm going to be joined today by Charles and Carlos. Ciao, Carlos.
Hello.
Ciao, Charles. So, are you ready to enter into the new era of Formula One?
Ready? Yeah.
More than ready.
I want you to join me in these two simulators. I want to know how much knowledge and who is the fastest. And for that, I have prepared Monza and the XX-K.
I like Monza. Nice memories from 2019.
This year's the cars will be completely different. But what has been the main objective of those changes?
Well, basically the changes were made to have better racing. So the car behind can follow closer the car in front.
And how much downforce or less downforce is going to be lost now when following the car?
Well, I think last year we were losing up to 47% of downforce, which is really a lot. And as a driver, you can really feel it. This year, the aim is to get to as low as 18% once following, which will help racing by quite a bit.
The cars will look also very different visually.
Yes.
Which are the main aero changes?
Everything, really. The whole aerodynamic side of the car has been changed completely. I think the cars are going to look completely different to each other.
And I heard something that we haven't heard in Formula One for a long, long time. Ground effect is back.
Yes, ground effect is back with the intention of just making the racing better, because we believe that ground effect should make it easier to follow between each other.
About the weight of the car, how is that going to change this season?
That's going to change quite a bit for driving for different reasons, but we are going from 752 kilograms to 795. So yeah, it is going to be interesting. The cars are completely new. Looking forward to it.
What's new on the tires of the
The
Formula One
tires are going to go from a 13-inch to a 18-inch tires, so it should help overtaking, which in the end, it's all going in the same direction, no? Trying to improve racing and allowing us to push a bit more.
The format of the weekend is changing as well. Fridays.
It is.
Two Grand Prix.
We'll now have a young driver in those two Grand Prix in one of our cars, which should be Robert for us. So I hope he will behave on the Friday and give us our car back in full peace.
Yeah, Robert, please keep the 55 car away of the walls. Eh?
I'm sure Robert will behave. He's going to be very lucky to drive your cars on two Fridays. Formula One is also thinking and moving into sustainability. So what's going to be the change there on our fuel supplier Shell?
Yes, so we're going to have a fuel from the regulations that is 10% ethanol, which means it's a more sustainable fuel. This should help us go in the direction of always going more and more sustainable in the future. At the beginning, we're going to lose probably a bit of power, but by the end of the year, hopefully in the future, we will recover this power. Oh, I'm about to overtake him.
Whoa, it's on the limit.
Yes, you are both on the limit. There'll be a new circuit next year. Which one?
Miami, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be incredibly special to go there. I really like United States in general. I think there's a very special... Oh my God, I broke way too early.
Yes, you did.
And yeah, I love the mood there is on the Grand Prix in the US. I'm really looking forward to this one.
And now a question that all the fans want to know. These new cars,
Yes.
are they going to be quicker or not than the previous generation cars?
Hey, always you have to leave the space, mate. We cannot say much because that will be giving information to the competition. But I feel like obviously quite heavy cars, so maybe at first will be slower than last year's cars.
I think the cars at the beginning should be slower than this generation. We need to remember that the last generation had 5 or 6 years of development, and the cars now is going to be on the first year of the generation. But I think the progress is going to be super fast, and at some point the cars will get as quick, so it would already be quite a big jump, no? If a car that is more than 40 kilos heavier can stay close to the performance of last year's car, that would be already quite an interesting change.
I can't wait to see, and I'm sure you as well, the new car. But I'm even also as interested to see who is going to be the winner of that race.
Yeah,
It is going-
let's do it.
Oh no, you won.
Copy, I'm in position at 100. Austin is ready too.
I'm just gonna take a couple breaths here. 5, 4, 3, 2, love you. Right, another beautiful morning. It's cold, -7 this morning. Ice in the water, that's when you know it's below 0.
Get at the top of the cliff.
Dropping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another day on the river. Yeah. And then we just...
Copy that, thanks.
3, 2, 1. All right, man, have fun. It's gonna be a great landing. Fuck yeah, dude. Day 7 down the river, and conditions seem actually really set up for this hike that I'm doing right now. Yo, buddy, I should be able to see you now. Dropping in 3, 2, 1. Love you guys. Woohoo!
手机拍摄大电影，最开始我觉得不太可能，但是看到画面啊、画质啊，还是一个全新的感受。用 iPhone 体现的东西，我觉得很具有电影感。这个故事的本身，就是一个失意的人回到家乡，和一群有热情的农民，是想通过拍摄一部火星的电影，保留村子啊，去换回曾经的集体的荣誉感。
你是说，把咱们村打造成网红景点？对，
我们所有的拍摄，我们就全部是使用 iPhone 13 Pro 它原始的这3颗镜头。它的0.5的超广角，它的1倍镜头跟3倍的这个长焦。
好的一面是它非常的方便，
它体积特别小，我们可以放在任意我们想要放在的地方。
我觉得这个是在以往电影的拍摄当中，我没有想到，但不一定能做到的。但是这次都意外的可以实现。
实际上我们在拍大电影的时候，往往会采用一些变焦啊，焦点从一个人到另外一个人，这 这个电影模式呢，它提供了这种方式，比如说像小树去关注他的父亲，焦点就会很自然地送到父亲的那一边，不单单是焦点的转换，更多的是一个情感的转换。
电影效果模式这个设计，我觉得它已经可以满足我们在电影拍摄中使用的这些技术。
可以往前上一上。
以往拍摄经常会遇到需要微距的拍摄，很多时候要转换一些特别的镜头，但是 iPhone 它令我们觉得就是非常的容易实现。电影里的火星表面其实是用 iPhone 贴近一口锅拍出了那种细节质感。
戏里边出现的像机器人啊、机器狗啊、大型的全地形车啊，包括微缩模型的全地形车，这些实际都是物理拍摄的。
很多的场景我们涉及到夜戏，在这个环境下面，我们用这次的低照度对于暗部的表现，我觉得它已经达到了一个真正的专业水准。
iPhone 13 Pro 的防抖功能让我特别的惊喜，拍摄动作镜头十分平稳，即使在很小的空间快速的移动，画面都十分的清晰。
视听语言一直在进步，在变换，每个人脑子里已经都有手机的镜头的语言了。
随手拿来，它不管是低照度也好，电影模式也好，它都会给年轻导演一些最初的想象。在每一个具有导演梦想的年轻人来讲，是一件好事儿。
所以，今天很简单，从口袋里拿出 iPhone， 随时随地创作属于我们自己的电影。
I started the race today. It was very emotional. First time here in Daytona. The car was perfect. If we continue like this, it's going to be a very good race for us.
We had a good start, but then on the second stint we have a small contact on turn 1. We damaged the rear left suspension, so we put so much time to repair. We lost almost 32 laps. But the team did a really good job to put the car back together, and we went again to the race, and we want to arrive until the end for them.
I was very happy about the balance of the car, which is the most important thing. Looks like we'll miss a bit of speed on the straight, but we are very good on the slow part. Need to stay on the queue, on the top position, and push the limit just at the end. We've had a really strong night coming back to P1. Had an incident which caused quite a lot of damage to the car. Our pace now is pretty impressive considering the damage we have. We are doing everything we can to try and catch P1.
We push hard, we went into the lead, we stay in the lead a lot of laps. We have the lap time, we have the pace, but they are so quick in the straight, so it's difficult to overtake. I rest a bit and I will close the race. I will give my best to win this race.
The Corvettes dropped out, had issues. The BMWs had issues, 0 laps down. Attrition plays a big part of endurance racing. We didn't think we had much for the Porsches because they were pretty dominant in the race. But then they were fighting amongst themselves and they knocked each other around a bit and Ali got by and finished second.
It was amazing to see that we were there fighting for the victory. 24 hours, every lap, flat out. No one mistake from the team, no one mistake from us. A podium, a second place here in Daytona with a so difficult category, 35 car.
It was really tough, the race. The last yellow was really unlucky. I lost track position. I drive, I do my best, I push always. Sometimes you are lucky, sometimes you are not. At the end, this is racing.
Good achievement from Risi Competizione, from Ferrari. Very happy, a very good start of the season.
March 10th, 1876. In Boston, Alexander Graham Bell successfully tests his invention, the telephone. Bell's assistant hears him say through the device, "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you." 1969. In Memphis, Tennessee, James Earl Ray pleads guilty to assassinating civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. Ray later recants his plea, insisting he's innocent and alleging a conspiracy until he dies behind bars decades later.
Put me on a witness stand and find out really what took place.
1985. Konstantin Chernenko, leader of the Soviet Union for just 13 months, dies in Moscow at age 73. Mikhail Gorbachev succeeds Chernenko in the Kremlin. 1980. Dr. Herman Tarnauer, author of the Scarsdale Diet, is shot to death at his home in Purchase, New York. Tarnauer's former lover, Jean Harris, is convicted of murder. She serves nearly a dozen years behind bars. And 1965. The Odd Couple opens on Broadway. Neil Simon's play about two mismatched roommates is later a hit on TV and the silver screen. Today in history, March 10th. Sandy Kozel, The Associated Press.
Welcome back in our studio, and in today's news,